It's the third day of the new year and we're taking our goals seriously. I wanted to share about a topic called it doesn't have to be perfect for it to be worth it. Because I have had myself go through so many goals, so many seasons in life where I have thrown in the towel way too early or have not really attempted even going for the thing that I want to pursue because I'm not yet perfect at it. And I think this is a tendency that we all have as human beings because we want the thing that we do to work out because it gives us a guarantee that we're doing something right. And so many of us want to start new things. We want to create different results. We want to change our reality. And yet our fear of not getting it right or not being good at it stops us from even really trying. And I think this goes a lot for things that require you to be seen publicly doing. So for example, like if you are seen publicly running, for example, and you want to be a runner and you feel so tired right away to the point where you're like huffing and puffing after like a few minutes, that can be really embarrassing. And the thought of failing and looking like you don't know how to run or you don't know what you're doing is more than enough for you to call it quits. And I think that sometimes we wait until we have more certainty or we have an essence of we're gonna get it right and we're gonna look good doing it until we actually allow ourselves to be visible doing it.
Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Nicole, a life and business coach for high-functioning women. I'm a self-proclaimed foodie, content creator, educator, and your new abundance bestie. In my world, we talk about all things to do with elevating your life. I post weekly videos helping the everyday woman embody her highest self, create inner wealth, master her mindset, unlock her femininity, and be an absolute boss in life. I create resources, trainings, and host experiences online and in person in order to help you reconnect to your true self. Not the one you think you need to be, but the you that you were born to be. So you can reclaim your power and amplify your voice to lead, love, and create as a woman. If you like my vibe and you want a little bit more abundance in your life, hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new episode. And be sure to check out the free resources in the description below.
And I think it's because we're ashamed to be seen in the process. That's because as a culture, we glorify perfectionism. We glorify end outcomes and people looking good, having the result, being great at something. We glorify that end goal and the end point, and we never place as much emphasis, as much value, or as much praise on the process. And I think if we want to begin to create change or shift anything, we have to begin to see that process as something that is so admirable and so beautiful to be in. And I think that that is the beginning of where we get to actually create change for ourselves. Because I think when we have this idea of it has to be perfect, we will delay starting. Because we have this psychological function called cognitive dissonance that basically makes us feel like something is wrong unless we are in alignment to the belief we have about ourselves. And if we have a belief that we need to nail it every single time, that it has to be perfect right away, then we're going to feel like a total imposter. We're gonna start to work against ourselves and our brains are literally going to fight us on this thought because we are simply not in alignment to who we say we are or who we say we want to be. So I think it's really important that when we step into the new year and when we step towards becoming a new version of ourselves or creating change on any sort of level, that we begin to understand that any direction towards change, progress, or growth will require stepping into a threshold of being pretty damn uncomfortable. And that requires us to surrender our need to be perfect and our need to look good doing it. Because there is going to inevitably be a stage of failure upon failure upon failure, or struggle upon struggle upon struggle. See, we live in a world that wants to glorify everything needing to look good and needing to be pretty, needing to work out right away. We want to kind of make it like a Hollywood movie where once we start working on our goals, things are going to go just like linear and it's going to go up and it's going to be perfect. The reality of change is it's not linear progress upward. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, and all you want to see in the big picture is a trend of it moving forward, because that's how you know you are growing. Growth is hardly ever measured in a linear upward line. And that's what we need to allow ourselves to actually normalize. Because when we don't normalize growth as messy, imperfect, inconsistent, then what we're setting ourselves up for is a whole lot of failure and a whole lot of suffering. And our attachment to the progress needing to be this constant upward motion is hurting us. It's causing us to believe that we are not doing something right, when really that's how the trend of growth actually looks like. And when you have a belief at any point in your journey of transformation that something is not right, that you're not doing something right, then inevitably you're going to stop showing up for it. Because as a human being, you want to feel like you are productive. And that unconscious belief that you're not doing something right because XYZ isn't happening is keeping you in that place of doubt and unconsciousness and believing that the things that you're doing are not really amounting to anything. And I hate that. I hate that for all of us. If we're to live our lives in a way where we're attempting goals and we're saying that we're wanting change, and yet the internal dialogue that we have with ourselves is we don't really believe that it's working. Like, how do you expect to create a result from a place of believing that everything you do is not working? You attempt to do a morning routine, you attempt to be a morning person, you attempt to lose weight, you attempt to build a new habit, you start a business, whatever it is that you're working towards, and yet your underlying belief is, I don't believe it's working out, it's not happening for me. Then therefore, you're going to create that reality where you consistently don't let the result work out for you. Imagine attempting your goals and the things that you set out to do from a place of, I believe it's working out for me. I believe that it's happening. I believe that this is the next right step. That's something that I always tell my clients. It's not about asking around or waiting for somebody to tell you or some metric to reflect back to you that it's working. Because if you operate from that place, you're gonna have a hard time. Yes, you might get an indicator from someone, something that you're on the right path, but you don't build from a place where you want that to be the only reason why you keep going. It's like every ounce of your validation and the assurance that you are in the right place and doing the right thing is coming from an external source, and that is unreliable. You cannot place the validation and the trust on something outside of you, because the moment you place it on something outside of you is the moment you have outsourced your entire power to create change and to actualize the result that you want. You have to be able to turn the goals and the desires that you want to create in this life inward, and to decide that you are worthy of achieving these results. And the moment that you decide that every single action you take towards those goals or towards that result is the right decision, is the right course of action, is the moment you win. That is the winning mentality. The winning mentality is the one that allows you to have your own back every step of the way. Because even if an expert were to tell you you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path, you're not going to believe it if you feel deep down that you are not. You're not succeeding, that you're not capable, that you're not able to. This is the mentality of a loser. This is the mentality of somebody who cannot possibly set themselves up to win, because already from the ground up, from the foundational level, you are building from a place of doubt, lack, and pessimism. This isn't just about blind optimism, you guys. This is about releasing the need to have it perfect. This is about perfectionism. And we all know what this is like. We all have experienced this battle with perfectionism, this need to have it work out perfectly right away or else it's not worth it. And if you really want to move out of the struggle of going up and down, or starting your goals and not finishing them, or going hard and then burning out, if you want to beat that cycle, you have to be willing to face this relationship that you have with perfectionism. I was in denial about this for so long, and I still am in so many areas of my life. And funnily enough, the areas of my life where I struggle to make progress are the areas of my life that I feel I have the most perfectionism. And if we really look at the root of perfectionism, it's this inability to accept things as they are, and it's the attachment to what you expect them to be. It's an attachment to what you think they should be. You are in denial about what is here in front of you right now. You are more attached to the image that you expect it to look like. That is the root of perfectionism, because what you're doing in the actions that that create perfectionism is consistently trying to not be where you are. You are so unsatisfied with where you are right now that you are literally like running or overdoing or escaping, doing anything you possibly can to get away from the experience of what is happening right now because you cannot accept it for what it is. And for whatever reason, maybe you made it wrong, maybe you judge the moment right now, maybe you have labels that create an unpleasant experience about what's happening right now. But the common theme here is that you don't believe this should be happening. You are in denial that it is happening, and you don't think that it is good. You've labeled it as bad. And that's where perfectionism comes from. It's this need to kind of chase, or run away or avoid whatever it is. So if we're really talking about moving out of the perfectionism cycle and getting started, it's really about that taking messy action mindset and falling in love with the process. I wanted to start running for so long. I know that I could do it. I know that I've done it before. And yet there was so much in me that was like, I cannot be seen failing. I cannot start something and look terrible doing it. To the point where I had to do it like in secret. And I would kind of get up early or the crack of dawn before anybody else was awake so that I could practice being good at this thing, so that when people did see me doing it, I looked somewhat decent. Like, this was me running away from being seen, being imperfect. But I realized that the willingness to be imperfect along the way makes achieving your goals so much easier. It creates like much less resistance than you would experience if you were allowing it. So if you are in a process of creating change or elevating your life, working towards a goal, we have to allow ourselves to be seen being imperfect. And what that might look like is letting yourself acknowledge the uncomfortable emotions that are going to come up when they come up. Acknowledge the self-judgment, the labels of this is bad, this is good, this is not working out. Allow those thoughts to surface as they will. And they will when you're wanting to create change. But it's about allowing them to exist while still showing up. And that can be a really hard thing for us to do, my loves. Like, the ability to allow yourself to just show up in the midst of your own discomfort, your own self-judgment, is a big feat. But if you can practice it, you will allow yourself to overcome this narrative of it has to be perfect. It has to be perfect no longer has a hold on you. That means you're able to attempt things before you're great at them. It means that you're able to show up consistently and be in the messy action before anything happens and feel reward from that. See, what perfectionism does is it gives you the false illusion that you cannot experience the joy, the bliss, the peace, the happiness, the fulfillment of the thing that you're attempting until you get to the end, the ideal end goal that you have in your mind. But that's not true, because how much of the growth, how much of the joy, the pleasure, the transformation actually happens in the process, not at the end. And this is what we miss when we are in perfectionism. We miss the fact that our growth happens in the process, and the most enjoyable part is on the journey. Most of the time, our perfectionism is here telling us this false story that it's only when we have it looking like this, or when we look like that, or when that result happens, that we'll be able to feel XYZ emotion. But we've got to stop living out that lie. We've got to stop believing that illusion and start trading it out for a narrative that says my joy, my pleasure, my fulfillment, my contentment, my satisfaction happens in the process of attempting, not in the outcome. Because when we are so fixated on the outcome, then all we're trying to do is jump from here to there in an instant. We don't want to go through the process. We don't want to experience imperfectionism. We don't want to experience the messy action. We don't want to experience the discomfort or the failure. But the truth about change and creating a result is that we have to go through those hard yards. It doesn't have to be miserable just because it's hard. The hard can feel fun. The hard can feel rewarding. The hard can feel liberating. The hard can feel like growth that you love showing up for. But so many of us have demonized the process and have glorified just the end result, so much so that we won't even start unless we're perfect. Or we won't be seen dead doing something that we're not good at, and we'll practice it in secret before we even show up for it. So my loves, I hope that this little talk on just showing up, on beating the perfectionism cycle, and allowing yourself to show up in the mess, to be seen in the process, and to fall in love with the discomfort, growing your threshold of being in that imperfectionism state, that will inevitably get you closer to your goal, and it will allow you to develop the consistency that you need to actually create the results that you're here for.
If you want to take your abundance to another level, I want to help you. I'm a life and business coach for women who want to step into their next level by activating wealth from the inside out. To help you take your first step to unlocking true abundance and your aligned potential, I'm giving you free resources, workshops, and masterclasses that you can access on demand right now. Check out www.nicoleconception.co/free-resources to get your hands on it. For more videos like this, check out the other playlists and series I have on this channel, and don't forget to hit subscribe to be notified whenever I drop a new video. And if you're more of the podcast type, check out Freedom in Flow, where I dive even deeper into the concepts that will help you create less hustle and more flow, abundance, and alignment in your life and business. Now, if you're a reader, you'll want to subscribe to my email list for unfiltered, honest, and most importantly, applicable life upgrades. Now, don't be a stranger. Connect with me on Instagram and TikTok and send me a message. I love getting to know you and your story. It's why I do this. Okay, my lovely, that's all for now. I'll see you soon. Signing off, Nicole.